Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. And this time, we're going to be looking at this idea of data mesh. Have you heard about this?
Oh yeah, it's a fascinating new approach to thinking about data at scale.
Yeah, it's like, if you've ever worked with data, the pain of trying to find it, understand it, make sure it's trustworthy.
Yeah.
Like, especially when it's spread out across like a million different systems and teams. And data mesh kind of comes in and says, hey, what if we just treated data like it was a product?
Right, like something you'd buy off the shelf.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So help me out here. Like, what does that even mean to treat data like you'd buy it in a store?
Okay, so imagine walking into a really well-organized shop, right? Everything's labeled, you know what it is, you know what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
You trust that the quality is good because the shopkeepers, they take pride in what they sell.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the experience that data mesh is trying to bring to data.
So no more like, data swamps and digging through files and trying to figure out what's what.
Exactly, yeah. Less of that data archaeology.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. So tell me more. Like, how does this work in practice?
Well, with data mesh, it encourages teams to think about who needs their data and how to package it up so it's ready to use. They become like data providers with a responsibility to make sure their data is understandable, trustworthy, and accessible.
It's a huge shift, right? Because like in the past, it always felt like data was kind of like an afterthought. Like it was just something that got dumped somewhere and hopefully someone else would figure it out.
Yeah, it was like the exhaust fumes of the business.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And data mesh is like, hey, no, this is valuable stuff. Let's treat it that way.
Yeah, exactly. It flips the script. Instead of it being this byproduct, data ownership is pushed upstream closer to the source, to the teams that really understand the nuances of the data and can ensure its quality.
That makes a lot of sense, but I'm already thinking like,
Yeah.
wouldn't this just create a ton of different data sets, each with their own little quirks and problems? Like there needs to be some rules, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, data mesh recognizes that you can't just have this free-for-all. So it establishes like some baseline characteristics that every data product should meet. You can think of it like a quality checklist for your data.
Okay, hit me with the highlights.
All right, so one of the most important ones is discoverability. Imagine you could just search a catalog and easily find the data you need with clear information about what's in it, the quality of the data, even like examples of how other people have used it.
Oh man, that would save so much time and headache.
Right.
But what about actually using the data? Like different people need data in different formats, right? Like
Yeah.
an analyst might want to do SQL queries, but a data scientist might need like real-time streaming data.
Yeah, absolutely. So data products need to be what we call natively accessible. They need to support various access methods and formats.
Okay, so it's about meeting the data consumer where they are instead of make them jump through hoops.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget about security. Data mesh emphasizes strong access controls and governance to protect sensitive information.
This is all starting to make sense now. Like treating data as a product, we get this more organized, more trustworthy, more usable data landscape.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we actually get there? Like this seems like a massive change in how we think about and manage data.
You're getting ahead of me. That's what we're going to talk about in part 2.
Oh, okay, a cliffhanger.
Yeah, we'll dive into the practical side of how to actually implement data mesh and all the cool things you can do with it.
All right, well, I'm hooked. I can't wait to hear more about this.
It's going to be good.
All right, so everyone stay tuned. We'll be right back after a short break. All right, so we're back, and we've been talking about this really cool idea of data mesh and how it can change the way we think about data, like treating it as a product. But I'm still kind of stuck on like, how do we actually make this happen? It sounds like a pretty big change.
It is a shift, but the cool thing about data mesh is it gives us a roadmap for this transformation. One of the key principles it borrows from software development is domain-driven design.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. That's about like breaking down these complex systems into smaller, more manageable domains, right?
Exactly. And just like we use microservices in software, data mesh suggests organizing data ownership around those business domains. So instead of having like this massive centralized data team trying to manage everything, responsibility is shifted to the teams that are closest to the data, the ones that really understand it.
That makes a lot of sense because the people who are actually working on, let's say, like a music streaming feature, they'd be the best ones to create data products related to music streaming, right? They understand user behavior, the metrics, the data quality, all that stuff.
Exactly. They have the domain expertise to make sure the data product is truly valuable and usable for everyone else.
Okay, so we're like empowering the experts. But hold on. Wouldn't this just lead to a bunch of isolated data silos? Like, weren't we trying to get away from that in the first place?
That's a really good point. But remember, each team is creating a data product. They're not just dumping data into some random database. They're thinking about who needs this data, how they'll use it, how to make it discoverable and understandable.
So it's kind of like each team is running their own little data shop, but within this larger data mesh ecosystem.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And to prevent those silos, data mesh emphasizes common standards and protocols for how these data products are structured and shared.
So it's like balancing domain-specific expertise with organization-wide consistency.
Exactly. Data mesh acknowledges that different domains have unique data needs and contexts, but it provides this framework for making sure all these diverse data products can play nicely together.
I can see how this would make finding and using data so much easier. But let's be real, not everyone is a data expert. How does data mesh empower people who might not be as comfortable working with all this technical stuff?
That's where the idea of a self-serve data platform comes in. Imagine having this set of tools and services that abstract away all the technical complexity of managing and using data.
Like a friendly guide that helps you find the data you need.
Exactly. It could include things like really intuitive search interfaces, clear documentation, pre-built connectors for all the popular data tools. It's about democratizing access to data and empowering everyone to be data-driven.
Okay, now it's starting to click for me. Data mesh sounds like a pretty elegant solution to a lot of these data challenges we face. But with all this decentralization, how do we keep things consistent? How do we prevent things from becoming chaotic? What about security? How do we govern this data mesh effectively?
Those are all great questions, and data mesh has answers for those too. It introduces this new approach to governance that we call federated computational governance.
Okay, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. But the idea is really clever. Basically, instead of having this central authority dictating all the rules and policies, data mesh distributes those governance responsibilities across the mesh itself.
Wait, so each data domain gets a say in how the data is governed?
Yeah, exactly. It's like a council of representatives from each domain coming together to establish common standards and policies. They're ensuring consistency and interoperability across the entire data mesh. But here's the key part. Those policies aren't just like static documents. They're actually encoded into the data platform itself.
Hold on, we're talking about programmable governance. That sounds really efficient.
Yeah.
Programmable governance. So we're basically baking the rules right into the system.
Exactly. It's like having those guardrails built right in, guiding everyone towards those responsible data practices.
That's a pretty cool idea. But how does it actually work?
So think of it like this: access control policies could be built right into the data products themselves. So only authorized users can get to the sensitive information.
Okay, so it's not just about like a bunch of rules written down somewhere. It's actually enforced automatically.
Right. And because these policies are codified, they can be easily updated and adapted as the data mesh grows and changes. It makes the whole system more flexible and responsive.
So it's not just about being organized and trustworthy. It's also about being adaptable.
Exactly. Data mesh is designed to be this living, breathing system that can evolve with the needs of the organization.
You know, when we started this deep dive, I had no clue what data mesh was. But now I'm seeing how it's so much more than just like a technical solution. It's a completely new way of thinking about data at a fundamental level.
Yeah, it's about shifting our mindset from data as this byproduct to data as a valuable product.
And it's about empowering everyone in the organization to use that data effectively.
Exactly. Data mesh has the potential to unlock so much value that's currently trapped in those data silos. By making data more discoverable, trustworthy, and accessible, it can really empower people to make better decisions, drive innovation, and create a more data-driven culture.
I'm totally sold on this idea now, but for our listeners who are maybe just hearing about data mesh for the first time, what's the key takeaway for them?
Well, data mesh might seem like this big, complex thing for huge organizations, but the principles can be applied at any scale. Even if you're just a small team, think about a data set that you produce. What would it take to make that into a data product that other people would actually want to use? How could you make it more discoverable, more usable, more trustworthy? These are the questions that data mesh encourages us to start asking.
Those are great questions to think about. And that brings us to the end of another deep dive. We've just scratched the surface of data mesh today, but hopefully we've sparked your curiosity about this really powerful idea. So if you're intrigued by this whole concept of treating data as a product and unlocking the power of a decentralized data landscape, then definitely check out data mesh. There's a ton of great resources available online, and we'll be sure to include some links in the show notes. And as always, we encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the fascinating world of data. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep asking those great questions.